Have the latest scientific advances made belief in God unreasonable? Have they rendered the biblical creation accounts unreliable? I'm joined today by Barry Wynn, who is a Christian and a chemical engineer, to help answer that question. Barry, in a previous episode, we talked about scientific evidence that points to God's existence, the beginning of the universe, the beginning of life on Earth. And so when you look at the world around us, there's compelling reasons to think that there's a creator, that there's a mind that undergirds the reality. Why do you think so many people in the scientific community are resistant to the idea of intelligent design?
Well, I think there are a couple of good reasons, but I like to preface my remarks with an observation that in many fields of science, people are indeed in awe of the physical world around us. In my area of phosphates, I was struck when my attention was drawn to a paper by Catherine Skinner, published in 2002, entitled "In Praise of Phosphates," or "Why Vertebrates Chose Apatite to Mineralize Their Skeletal Elements." I think using the word praise, first of all, is very appropriate because she's praising the elegance of phosphate chemistry.
Along those lines, there's a really interesting book written by a molecular biologist by the name of Ursula Goodenough. And she describes herself as a religious non-believer. And the whole book is like a devotional where she focuses on different aspects of creation and then has this spiritual, religious experience in response to it that she then, through poetry and through song lyrics and things like that, begins to process those spiritual feelings. So it's remarkable to me to think that scientists are having the same response that we would have as Christians to the beauty and the elegance of the world around us.
Yes, and it's interesting. One of the biographies of Einstein that I read says that he referred to his little book of Euclidean geometry as the little holy book because he was so much in awe of the beauty of Euclidean geometry. But I think that not only is it interesting that she used the word praise, but she talked about vertebrates choosing apatite, as if, somewhere in the origin of different life forms, these primitive life forms were sitting around and choosing, making a decision. Well, of course, that's not what she meant, but it sort of implies that the presence of a mind in it all. But, I think scientists resist, in many cases, the admission of any supernatural because they're trained to look for naturalistic explanations. And the scientific enterprise has been hugely successful.
This is called methodological naturalism.
Exactly, yes.
Where when you engage in science, you pursue only mechanistic explanations for the world around us, not anything that would evoke the work of a mind, right?
That's right, yes. And it's been a very successful enterprise. But the danger is, some people say, well, science, being so successful, is our ultimate source of authority. And if a statement isn't scientific, it is not authoritative, and therefore we can dismiss it. And I think that's a very dangerous place to go for a lot of philosophical and ethical reasons, because there are other sources of authority. And of course, we as Christians believe revelation of Scripture is the ultimate authority. But I think then there are two reasons, really. First of all, scientists think that all physical reality can be explained by naturalistic means, and therefore they're determined to do that and not, quote, allow a divine foot in the door, as one scientist has written. But also, I think acknowledging the possibility of a creator makes some uncomfortable. Why does it make it uncomfortable? Well, because the God we worship is a moral God and a just God. And for some, taking on the implications of morality and justice is not something they're willing to countenance. It is interesting, though, that many scientists are willing to countenance the possibility of aliens. I mean, we have SETI, the search for extraterrestrial intelligence, where a lot of very intelligent scientists are looking for signs of intelligence out in the cosmos. And that's considered intellectually acceptable. Likewise, some origin of life researchers think, well, we cannot explain the origin of life here on the planet, but maybe it originated somewhere else in the cosmos. And life, as primitive life, was sent here either deliberately, the directed panspermia, or just by chance, just unguided panspermia. and that is considered intellectually acceptable. You can read about it in secular texts. So I think the issue here is ultimately the moral aspect of a creator versus just a mind, an alien mind.